So am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is lecture number 16 and 17 of this course, Phase Transformation in Materials, where we basically talk about diffusion. So diffusion is a very interesting phenomenon by which atoms or molecules moves from one location to another location. So we have lot of significance of this when atom moves from one location to another location inside the material, basically, right? Like if you people have heard about gears which are used in automobiles, right? Those gears are case hardened, right? So how this gear is case hardened? Case hardened means the surface of the gear is very hard, but the inside part of the gear is soft or ductile or tough. But we have only hardened the surface, right, of the gear to prevent it, so that the wear will not happen, the metal will not remove during the operations, right? So case hardening will be done by this mechanism called diffusion mechanism. So carbon atoms or nitrogen atoms or some carbon nitrogen atoms can diffuse into the surface of the material to certain depth, and it makes the case more harder and stronger. But inside the material it is soft and ductile, right? So this is one of the application. Case hardening is called case hardening. Carburizing, nitriding, these are some terms. Carburizing means we are introducing carbon into the surface so that the material become harder and stronger on the surface, right? Similar lot of applications are there. Suppose you are using a globes, right? You are using a globes and you are going to handle some chemicals, and you are inserting your hand by using that globes into the chemicals, and that chemicals is somewhat toxic. So if the globe thickness is higher, the chemicals will take more time to diffuse into the globes and finally into the surface of the skin. Hmm. So there is another application, you understand? So if the thickness of the globes will be less, what will happen? The chemicals will diffuse into the globes and it will reach your hand, and your hand may get affected by that, right? So we'll talk about diffusion basically today. And there are two laws, governing laws of diffusion, that is called Fick's first law of diffusion and Fick's second law of diffusion. Hmm. Basically, in today's lecture, I'll be talking about diffuse first law of Fick's first law. Fine, and we'll also talk about like I will also talk about classification of diffusion. So, what is diffusion? So, diffusion is a Latin word called diffundere. It means spread out. The materials will spread out. It's a random motion of atom, you can say simply. So it means movement of substance from one location to other, and this may be due to difference in the concentration. So why substance will migrate from one location to another location? They will migrate because of difference in concentration. So this is one of the reason. This is not always true, right? So that means atoms always migrate from higher concentration region to lower concentration region, right? This is one of the reason. This may not be always same. Even if there will be a concentration gradient, atoms may not move. That is another thing. Anyways, so this concept, diffusion concept, was started by Brown, right? So there is a researcher called Brown. We know the Brownian movement, right? That is the random motion or zigzag motion of particles inside the material, right? And that motion is due to thermal energy and collision, right? But this Brownian movement, the Brown do not study how particles, like he only study the motion, random motion, but he didn't study how much distance those particles can move. So that is studied by Einstein. In 1905, he found out that the distance movement will be the mean square displacement, that is equal to 6 dt. So this is the mean square displacement, that is nothing but the distance, how much distance the particle will move, that is equal to 6 dt. So d is nothing but the diffusion constant, we'll see that soon, and t is the time. And 6 is basically for 3 dimension. So if you have a 3 dimension and you want to find out how much distance a particle will move, that will become 6 dt. If it will be in dimension, it is 4 dt. If it will be one dimension, it will be 1 dt simply, right?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, please allow students.
So now the question is how fast particles can move. This is another question. We'll see that. So there is a concept called J. So what is J here? You can see it is diffusion flux, right? So what exactly diffusion flux means? It means how much amount of substance is crossing a particular area at a particular time interval, right? You understood? So how much amount of materials means it may be 1 kg of material, or it may be 1 gram, it may be like 1 microgram of material, or it may be 1 mole of materials, it may be how many number of atoms, right? And area means it may be your centimeter square or meter square area, right? And time in second, right? So diffusion flux, which is represented by J, is nothing but amount of material which is crossing a particular area per unit time. Okay, so that is diffusion flux. So this is very essential for us. That means we'll see. That means our aim is to find out how much amount of material is crossing a particular area per unit time, right? That is given by J, and this J is given by Fick's first law of diffusion. We'll see that soon. Okay, so what is Fick's first law of diffusion? You have to remember Fick's first law of diffusion is also called steady state kind of diffusion, right? And the second law is called non-steady state. Basically, we'll see that in next lecture, obviously. So diffusion flux J is proportional to concentration gradient. So that means how much amount of material will cross a particular area per unit time will depend upon concentration gradient, right? J is proportional to delta C by delta X. So C is the concentration and X is the distance, right? So J is proportional to DC delta C by delta X. Okay. First C is the concentration, X the distance I told, and Fick's first law expressed as J is equal to negative sign capital D times dC by dx. So you have to remember this expression, right? So diffusion flux J is equal to negative sign capital D times dC by dx. So D is what? D is the diffusion constant. Some people call diffusion coefficient sometimes. And dC by dx is concentration gradient, right? Already I have told J is proportional to dC by dx, or J is proportional to delta C by delta X, you can say, or J is proportional to concentration gradient. So dC by dx is the concentration gradient, but we have a constant, diffusion constant D here, right? Extra.
Excuse me,
So now
sir.
the question is, yes.
Sir, ଟିକେ ସ୍ମୃତି ସର ସାହୁ ଟିକେ ଏଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ଦେବେ ସାର୍.
So why there is a negative sign? The question is why there is a negative sign. So negative sign means substance are moving down a concentration gradient. That means substance is moving from higher concentration to lower concentration, and during the process the concentration is decreasing, you can say, in simple way, kind of thing, right? So basically, since substance are moving from higher concentration to lower concentration, or you can say substance are moving down a concentration gradient, we are giving negative sign here, right? So J is equal to negative sign D, dC by dx is the expression of Fick's first law. So anybody can ask what exactly Fick's first law is telling. You can simply say Fick's first law is telling how much amount of substance is crossing a unit area per unit time, right? And that exactly depends upon the concentration gradient itself, right? And also diffusion constant or diffusion coefficient. So when there is a big change in concentration, diffusion will be faster. This is very simple. Okay. Anyways, so Fick's first law is a steady state diffusion. So now the question is why Fick's first law is called steady state diffusion? Because J is not a function of time. So the diffusion flux J is independent of the time period. You are doing diffusion for 10 minutes, 10 hours, 100 hours, it doesn't make any sense, right? Since the diffusion flux is independent of the time, so, or it is not a function of time, so it is a steady state diffusion. What exactly it means? In a simple word, you can say, suppose you have two concentration. One concentration, suppose you are maintaining a higher concentration, and in the other end, you are maintaining a lower concentration in a material. Fine. But you are not changing that concentration. Your concentration is fixed. Suppose suppose 10 number of atoms is there in one area, and suppose 2 number of atoms are there in another area. So that is fixed. We're not changing. But obviously atoms will move from higher concentration to lower concentration. But you are keeping that fixed. So similarly, you can say you are also keeping the concentration gradient fixed, right? So if this is the situation, if you're not changing the concentration or concentration gradient to different reasons, then that will be a steady state diffusion. And the diffusion flux will not depend upon the time period, right? I think up to this it is okay. Then we can have two types of diffusion, right? You have seen already substitutional solid solution, interstitial solid solution. So on that basis, we can have two kinds of diffusion mechanism. One is called substitutional diffusion mechanism. One is called interstitial diffusion mechanism, right? So substitutional diffusion mechanism, the best example you can give is copper and nickel system. You take copper and you add into nickel system, then copper will occupy the nickel positions somewhere, and nickel will occupy the copper positions. That will become a solid solution of copper and nickel. And if copper is moving to nickel side and nickel is moving to copper side, so that is a diffusion, obviously. Okay, so that is obviously diffusion. That is the movement of atoms, movement of copper atom into nickel sides, or movement of nickel atoms to copper sides, maybe, right? So that is actually done by two things: either by vacancy mechanism, movement of vacancy, or maybe by this exchange. That is by exchange mechanism. By exchange mechanism, or by exchange simply, you can see. So these substitutional atoms will move either by vacancy movement or by exchange. Exchange means it is very simple, you can understand. Suppose you have copper and nickel. Suppose you have less amount of copper and more amount of nickel. So nickel will take the position of copper, copper will take the position of nickel. So they are exchanging their position just. But problem is what? It will took lot of energy to do that. So exchange mechanism is very rare to see, right? But which one is easy to see is the diffusion of vacancies, actually. What? So vacancies, you know that vacancy is the empty sites where no atoms will be there. If so vacancy will move to the atom, so atom will move towards vacancy, right? Just opposite direction. So if vacancy is moving in the material, that means atom is also moving, right? So vacancy mechanism is prominently seen in the substitutional diffusion mechanism, basically, right? So that is more common in solid, I have written. But exchange mechanism is very rare. But exchange may happens over the surface, but vacancy happens everywhere, right? So you have to remember, low activation energy barrier is there for vacancy mechanism. So if activation energy barrier is very less, so vacancy mechanism will work, basically, not your exchange mechanism. Okay. It is written, when atom or vacancy would move, it has to overcome a activation energy barrier. Okay, you people have seen that already, huh? Free energy versus reaction coordinate you have seen. Similarly, you can draw in y-axis you can draw energy, in x-axis you can draw a distance. That means atom is moving from left to right, for example, then from right to left vacancy is moving. So when they are moving, they have to cross a energy barrier anyhow, right? It is not so easy. So now the question comes, we have seen J, diffusion flux, depends upon concentration gradient. We have already seen this one, this expression, diffusion flux J depend upon dC by dx, which is concentration gradient. Also, it depends upon capital D, which is diffusion constant or diffusion coefficient. So what is that exactly? We want to find it out. You can see here, we have seen J depend upon the concentration gradient as well as diffusion constant, right? D. So what is D now? So D is actually derived by Arrhenius kind of equation. You can see D is equal to pre-exponential factor A exponential to the power or exponential minus EA by KBT, right? Or D is equal to A e to the power minus EA by KT or KBT or RT you can write. If I'm writing kBT means it is Boltzmann constant to temperature. That is for one single atom, right? But if I'm writing RT here, it is means for 1 mole, right? So D, capital D, diffusion coefficient, or you can say diffusion constant, D is equal to A e to the power minus EA by RT or EA by KT, right? Or EA is the activation energy barrier, you can understand. So you can simply see this D depends upon temperature anyhow, right? So diffusion constant is a temperature dependent thing. You have to remember. Now I'll talk about interstitial diffusion. You remember in a best example of interstitial atom is the carbon in iron, right? So which stay in the interstitial sites, and the motion is what? It moves from one interstitial site to other interstitial sites during its motion, right? That is the diffusion of interstitial carbon atom in iron, fine. So this is a very interesting thing. Just have a look. Order of log diffusion constant. So what is the order of log diffusion constant for these three things? You can see hydrogen in BCC iron is greater than hydrogen in FCC iron, that is greater than iron in BCC iron, right? So it simply means diffusion constant value is higher for hydrogen in BCC iron, then it comes hydrogen in FCC iron, then finally iron in BCC iron, right? So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is if iron want to move in BCC, then it will take much time. It is not so easy. But if hydrogen want to move in BCC iron and FCC iron, then hydrogen will move easily in BCC iron compared to FCC. Okay, same thing, just opposite. Order of diffusion barrier. So where is the high barrier, right? So barrier is high in case of iron in BCC iron, obviously, just opposite to that. Just opposite to log diffusion constant, right? So iron in BCC iron is greater than hydrogen in FCC iron greater than hydrogen in BCC iron. So this is the diffusion barrier sequence, right? Now you can see iron atoms moving in its own lattice have higher activation barrier. You have to remember these things. Just have a look. Iron atoms moving in its own lattice have high activation barrier. So it has lower log diffusion coefficient. But in BCC iron movement of hydrogen is faster as more space is available. So activation barrier is low. If these things you know already, right? Now we'll discuss some important concept here. You just have a look. The question is, in each pair, which one will diffuse faster? So this is a question to you people, you have to answer. So first pair is carbon in alpha iron and carbon in gamma iron. Just tell me the answer. Which one will be faster? Carbon in alpha iron or carbon in gamma iron? Which in where the diffusion will be fast?
Sir, carbon in alpha iron.
Alpha
Yes,
iron.
carbon in alpha iron. Very good. Why? What is the answer? Why? What is the reason?
BC structure.
BC structure means what? Justify it. What I have written?
Alpha iron is open structure.
Yes. So the packing efficiency is less. So it is open structure. You remember, no? Carbon can easily diffuse in the BCC because it is an open structure, but gamma iron is a closed pack structure, FCC, right? Anyway, second question is iron in alpha iron at 500 degrees centigrade, iron in alpha iron at 900 degrees centigrade. So which one diffusion will be faster?
500 degrees centigrade.
500 degrees Celsius.
500, what you are saying? Look at the temperature. One is 500, one is 900.
Oh, sorry, sir. 900 is BCC, so 900, sir.
Why? What is the reason? Just before we have seen an expression D is equal to A e to the power minus EA by RT, where we have seen, so D depends upon temperature. Diffusion constant or diffusion coefficient depends upon temperature. So higher is the temperature, higher is the D value, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we know the expression J is equal to negative value of D times dC by dx, right? either if concentration dc by dx will be higher, then J will be higher. If D will be higher, then J will be higher also, capital D, right? Okay, next, iron in alpha iron, hydrogen in alpha iron.
Hydrogen and alpha iron.
Okay, very good. So what is the reason?
So due to atomic size.
Very good, atomic size. Very good, very good. So particle size, it is basically particle size. Particle size is smaller. Very good. Then silicon vacancy. This is a good question. Silicon vacancy in silicon, helium in silicon. That means the difference is vacancy is moving here. Here this helium is moving in silicon. This is a tough question actually. Actually, you have to remember vacancy diffusion is a slow process. So what will be the answer?
Helium in silicon.
Okay, fine, very good. Then hydrogen in platinum and hydrogen in magnesium. This is the common thing is hydrogen, but one is platinum, one is magnesium. You have to look into the atomic size. So magnesium has what? Basically, magnesium has higher atomic size. Higher atomic size means the void size will be bigger or smaller. If atoms are bigger, voids will be bigger or smaller.
Bigger.
Bigger, obviously, higher is the atomic size, bigger is the void size, and hydrogen is an interstitial atom or substitutional. Hydrogen is the first element in the periodic table. It is very small, so it is the interstitial or substitutional element.
Interstitial.
Interstitial, right? So if void size will be bigger, so it will be easy to diffuse, right? So magnesium has higher atomic size, so it has higher void size. So it has higher void size, right? So obviously higher void size means hydrogen in magnesium is the answer, right? So first one, what I told, carbon in alpha iron. So this is the answer. Second one is temperature, iron in alpha iron at 900. Then third one is iron in alpha, hydrogen in alpha iron. So this is hydrogen in alpha iron because of small particle size of hydrogen. Then silicon vacancy in silicon, helium in silicon. So this is helium in silicon. And last one is hydrogen in platinum, hydrogen in magnesium. So magnesium is bigger size, so void size is bigger. So faster diffusion happens in the hydrogen in magnesium. Okay, so these are the answers. Very good. So we'll move to diffusion phenomena classification. So how we can classify the diffusion phenomena?
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry, yes.
In the previous slide, in this fourth one, silicon, helium, the helium in the silicon one, the vacancy diffusion slow process, how they compare with each other?
Actually, you are comparing, you are taking silicon, material is same actually. The base material is silicon, right? But in one case, silicon is having vacancy, in one case, silicon is having helium, right? So here basically what happens, helium is an atom exactly. You have an atom in an atom, but vacancy is a vacancy. There is no atom exactly, right? So in that way you can say the atoms can move, right? So if you want, you can go into depth. Otherwise, I may not know the exact answer, but you have to remember this one: vacancy diffusion is a slow process. That's all, right?
Okay.
Okay, diffusion phenomenon classification. So first, kind of phenomenon is uniformity of concentration. So in this concept, uniformity of concentration, one is called interdiffusion with concentration gradient, one is called self-diffusion. So what is interdiffusion with concentration gradient? It is very simple. Interdiffusion in concentration gradient means in a particular bulk of a material, one area or one region will be at higher concentration, at another region it will be of lower concentration, right? So obviously atoms moves from higher concentration region to lower concentration region. That is, you can call interdiffusion with concentration gradient. But what is self-diffusion? Self-diffusion is not due to concentration gradient. Suppose you are dealing with only iron atoms are there. So iron atoms will move. If you are raising the temperature, they will move automatically. Self-diffusion, right? So there is no concentration gradient exactly. To achieve mass, the answer is to achieve mass transfer in the bulk atoms moves without concentration gradient. So if atoms are moving without concentration gradient, you can say this is self-diffusion. Suppose you have silicon material, and in silicon material, everywhere concentration is same, but still silicon atoms are moving. It may be due to high temperature. To do mass transfer, silicon atoms are moving. So it is a self-diffusion, that's all. But if there is a concentration gradient, that is called interdiffusion with concentration gradient. Okay. The next one is direction of diffusion with respect to concentration. This is very interesting, you have to remember. So what is the direction of diffusion? One is called downhill diffusion, one is called uphill diffusion. Downhill diffusion, it is very simple. Downhill means the atoms will move from higher concentration region to lower concentration region. Down the hill, right? But what is uphill? Uphill is just opposite to that. It means the diffusion of atoms will be, the atoms will move or diffuse from lower concentration region to higher concentration region. This is not easy exactly, and this is not a usual phenomenon. The usual phenomenon is downhill diffusion, right? Okay, so yeah, you may ask, is there any example where uphill diffusion happens? Yes. Suppose, I could draw a diagram to explain it, but this is not offline class. Okay, anyways, let me give an example. You take two pieces of steel, for example. You take two pieces of steel. One piece of steel is only plain carbon steel, iron and carbon, right? In another piece of steel, you are having iron, carbon, and chromium, for example. Okay. Now you join the two steels. Then you heat it. The moment you will heat it, what will happen? Diffusion will happen, right? Atoms will move. So can you tell me, suppose in the first piece of steel you are having like 0.5 weight percentage of carbon. In the second piece of steel where you have iron, carbon, and chromium, in that you have only 0.1 weight percentage of carbon. So can you tell me carbon will move from where to where when you rise the temperature? Or if you want, I can repeat the question.
Sir, from second one to first one.
Okay, from second one to first one. Okay, why? Why this happens?
सर क्योंकि उसका जो मतलब कार्बन का जो कंसंट्रेशन है वो कम है फर्स्ट वन के मुकाबले में.
So basically we know that diffusion happens from higher concentration to lower concentration, right? We have seen J is equal to minus T dC by dx, right? So higher is the concentration gradient, higher is the diffusion. Diffusion always happens from a higher concentration to lower concentration region. But your answer is right here. The carbon atoms will move from lower concentration to higher concentration. That is called uphill diffusion actually. So the question is why this happens. Actually, in the real sense, for example, you take two pieces of steel. In one piece of steel, you are having carbon percentage, suppose 0.5. In another piece of steel, you have carbon percentage 0.1. And both are plain carbon steel. There is no chromium, right? So in that condition, the movement of carbon atom will be from higher concentration to lower concentration. That means from 0.5 to 0.1. But since you have chromium here, and that's why the diffusion of carbon atoms will happen from lower to higher concentration. That is called uphill. This is because chromium basically form chromium carbide. chromium is a strong carbide formers. So carbon is trapped, right? Basically, my question, I should ask questions. My question was actually, so we asked wrong. Can like in the first steel you are having iron, chromium, but in piece of steel you are having iron and carbon only, right? So the way I asked the question was wrong exactly. But in the first piece of steel you are having more carbon, 0.5. But in the second piece of steel you are having only 0.1. So here carbon will migrate from second piece of steel to the first piece of steel. Why? Because in the first piece of steel you have chromium, and chromium is a strong carbide former. So the amount of carbon is higher, but that amount of carbon is trapped with chromium by forming chromium carbide. They are not free to move. But in the first piece of steel, carbon is free to move. So it will migrate from lower concentration to higher concentration. So this is the second part, what I told, that is right. In the first part, the way I asked the question was wrong, exactly. If you want, I can explain it again in the offline class. Anyways, the other one is the route or pathway of diffusion. So in what route the diffusion will happen? That is another classification. So diffusion can happen in bulk, diffusion can happen on the surface, or diffusion can happen through grain boundary. So these are the three types of reason, or three types of way, or the path atoms can move. So if suppose you take two pieces of atoms, you join them, or you take two pieces of steel, you join them. So diffusion may happen from one surface to another surface. That is surface diffusion, right? Diffusion can happen from the bulk of the material to bulk of material. That is called bulk diffusion, right? Or diffusion can happen if there is grain boundary. Diffusion can happen along the grain boundaries. That is along other defect I have written, or through dislocations also. And the last one, by mechanism of diffusion, which already we have discussed, substitutional diffusion or interstitial diffusion, which already we have discussed that. Interstitial. Okay. So these are the different ways we can classify diffusion, on the basis of uniformity of concentration, on the basis of direction of diffusion with respect to concentration, on the basis of route or pathway, on the basis of mechanism, right? Okay, I'll stop here for today's class. I'll continue this diffusion class again, maybe on tomorrow. Okay, you people can leave.
Tomorrow online or offline?
Obviously,